Happy New Year, 2021. Another chapter in your life story and in my life story. Another opportunity to build a championship season at home and in the workplace. I hope and pray that you choose to do just that. I hope and pray that you choose to make 2021 one of your best seasons ever. This past Monday, we celebrated one of the greatest of all time, Martin Luther King Jr. Of course, we all know that MLK led a movement whose purpose was to remind us all that we're all created equal and that we're all made in the image of God, and therefore that we all have the great opportunity to be our best no matter the circumstance. Black, brown, white, rich or poor, left or right, believer or not, all of us have the opportunity to be like the great Martin Luther King if we simply follow his timeless advice. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the all-time greats because he chose to serve others before self. He chose to sacrifice for others. It's not always easy to serve others, to sacrifice for others. In fact, it's never easy, but it is best. If you want to be your best, and we all do, we all need to do what the best do. This year at Supreme, with the spirit of MLK to guide us, we're focused on building a championship season at home and in the workplace, everywhere with everyone. With the championship season as our target destination, I invited a guest today who knows a thing or two about how to build a championship season. Dr. Kevin Elko has invested his life serving others in sports, helping teams develop a championship mindset. And he's obviously discovered the secret. He's participated in 30 championship seasons. He knows what it takes to become a champion, and he's here today to ensure that we all understand how to build a championship season in our lives, at home, in the workplace, everywhere, with everyone.
All right. How you guys doing? Good. Doing good? I know you guys start kicking things off again. There's a lot coming in different directions. You're starting a new year. Right? You guys obviously trying to defend something. And what I always found helpful, particularly when the season starts, is to edit your life. What's most important to you? And when you do that exercise with yourself, things become clear rather quickly.
But it was interesting, hearing you speak today about, your mentality as a player and how your work ethic, your perseverance gave you the confidence to be the kind of player that you were.
Yeah.
And, my comment about that is every great player that I've ever met, they all have that. Right. They all have talent, but they all have that.
Right. The process, loving the process, loving the daily grind of it, and putting the puzzle together. It seems like this generation seems to be really concerned with the end result of things versus understanding, appreciating the journey to get there, which is the most important. The trials and tribulations that come along with it. You have successes, you have failures, but it's all part of the end.
Right. The
end game. And what I see a lot of time from young players is, they'll try, they'll push, and all of a sudden they get hit with some adversity. Let me do something else. Instead of staying with it, you just stay with it.
Exactly.
A lot of guys just kind of give up on it because it's not happening now.
That's exactly right. Everybody wants to be the beast, but not everybody wants to do what the beast do. You heard that one before.
Oh yeah.
So, but and that's the challenge. But that's what I love about the process of being a coach.
Champions and championships are not an accident. Champions and championships are not based on luck. Champions and championships are built and realized based on, first, a decision to become a champion. Second, They're based on having a championship plan. Third, they're based on creating the right kind of habits so that you follow through every single day with your plan so you can become a champion. Champions accept adversity as a part of their journey and they overcome it. And finally, and simply, it's the result of a relentless pursuit of the destination best as an individual or as a team that makes a champion. The GOATs, the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan won 6 rings. And he said talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Tom Brady, 6 rings. The true competitors, though, are the ones who always play to win. There's another guy who's got 6 rings, and that's Nick Saban. I think everybody should take the attitude that we're working to be a champion, that we want to be a champion in everything we do, every choice, every decision. Everything we do every day, we want to be a champion. And guess what? Supreme Lending, you too have already become a champion. That's right. As it relates to being the best employer, you have already won not 6, but you've already won 7 rings 7 times. You have been recognized as the #1 employer in 2 of the major cities in the Southeast United States. So you kind of already know how to write a championship story, but we want to go a step further, don't we? We want to continue to write an even better story. Our guest today, he does not have 6 championships like Michael, like Tom, like Nick, and like Supreme, who has 7. No, our guest today has 30. That's right, he has 30 championship rings. He's not a player, he's not a coach. He's a master motivator and consultant who helps to inspire those who have made the decision, just like you, to be a champion. He's a PhD and renowned sports psychologist, author, and motivational speaker. And in my way of thinking, he's arguably the nation's expert on the topic of how to build a championship season. And based on our individual and our collective decision to do just that, to build a championship season in 2021, I thought he would be a perfect guest to help you and me, all of us, to build our plan for 2021. Dr. Kevin Elko, welcome to Personal Professional Best.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for that introduction. That was pretty good. I like that interview you did with Scott as well. And you got to be thankful. They got to be thankful I'm not blocking, tackling down there. We wouldn't have too many rings, but thanks for the kind things you said about me.
Well, listen, there's those that are doing the blocking and tackling in this world, and then there's those who are like me and you who are investing in helping those that are doing the block and tackling do it even better, which is what today's about. I simply want to invite our folks to hear from someone who's witnessed and watched and learned from what champions and championships do. I want to take that wisdom that you have, and I want to give it as a gift into the lives of the Supreme Associates. That's what I want to do with our time together. But I got to ask you this, right? 30 championship rings. No one has 30 championship rings. Why don't you tell us the story of Dr. Elko, which includes how you wound up winning 30 championship rings?
I started off actually with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I came in with Bill Cowher, and we really just brought people in for attitude. And on those first teams that we had 52 people on our roster, and 12 of them came from Colorado with Bill McCartney's team. And they really taught how to come together, really taught how people care for one another and how they focus and encourage each other. But it really came down to one thing, Pat: accountability. And I went there to Miami. I was at the University of Miami. We won 38 games in a row. And we had people hold each other accountable more than anything else. And where we got it at Miami was we got it from Tom Osborne, who was at the time at Nebraska. Tom Osborne was at the stadium, went home, came back. A senior was teaching a freshman pass patterns. He said, We've got it. And he won a national championship. So we started doing that, first of all, at Miami, having the players hold each other accountable. And everywhere I've gone, that's what's behind the championships, where if you have to answer to somebody and they keep you alert on what you want and on what I'm going to call your nitty-gritty goals, you win. And so they featured what we did on 30 for 30 on the U, and then I went from there, and that's where Nick Saban found me. And we've done the same things with him, incorporating accountability, incorporating an internal language, how we talk to each other, how we talk to ourselves. And that's what's been behind it. It's not been really complicated as much as accountability, vision, daily nitty-gritty goals, and having the language of success and language of winning. And so that's really how it got started for me. I went from West Virginia, that's where I'm from. You can see the dogs back there playing poker. That's kind of West Virginia art. I left there and I went to the Olympic Committee. I went to the International Olympic Committee after that, and I came in to work for the Steelers. And then I went from the Steelers to Miami, and I went from Miami to the Cowboys, and I went to Alabama. I went to LSU first, and I went with Nick there to Alabama. Worked a lot on the whole concept of vision, accountability, nitty-gritty goals, no mental clutter.
You know, Kevin, I've never asked an adult the question, do you want to be your best personally and professionally, where they've said, no, I don't. They all do. And then the statistics about the lives of people in our country just don't connect to the idea of I want it, right? So there's this bridge from we all want personal and professional best. We all want championships at home and in the workplace, but very few are getting it. And that's one of the reasons I have you here today, because you know what that bridge is like. You know what's on the bridge because you witness championships, but you also witness folks that don't do what it takes. So what do championships teams do? What do they do?
Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants success. Everybody in some way wants health. Everybody wants wealth. Everybody wants wise. They don't want to give up to get it. It doesn't matter what you want. It matters what you will give up to get it. Everybody wants. And we teach this all the time. Of course you want. Who doesn't want? But what do you want to give up to get it? I say this all the time. Everybody will tell you that they're committed. They're not, Pat. They're interested. And the difference is I'm committed to have a healthy body till I meet a brownie, then I'm just interested. I'm committed to have finances until I have some kind of a challenge, then I'm just interested. The big thing, you got me fired up already. The big thing is we go too much with our feelings and not with our choices. And so the big thing to me is everybody wants. Nobody wants to give up to get it. Everybody wants the blessing, but they don't want the burden. That's what I think is one of the biggest challenges we've got in the whole country. The people who want the blessing and they don't want the burden, they kind of make me itch. You know, I'm allergic to them. But that's one of the biggest things. I was jogging my neighborhood and this guy pulled me aside. Jeff, he's right down over here. He said, "Oh, you look good." I said, "I've been working out. I picked up the intensity of my exercise." And he said, I would like, I want to go to the next level. He says, "I don't want to give up beer." I said, "Look, Jeff, a healthy body is a blessing, but take the burden. The burden is the discipline. We want the blessing. We don't want the burden. We say that we say we're committed. We're only interested, but it never really matters what you want to give up. In return, I will is a powerful phrase. I will have wealth. In return, I will. I will have good friendships. I will have connection. In return, I will. I will have a healthy body, and in return, I will." They don't want to give up. That's the challenge.
You know, I put up the scripture before the program got started that in Romans that I know what I want to do, but I don't do it, and I do what I hate. So our natural state is what you just described. The natural state is to want, but not be prepared to do what it takes to get the sacrifice. We really built our program, Kevin, because my personal mission statement in life is to leave everyone I come in contact with better than I found them. Not arrogant, humble. That's just what I think God put me on the planet to do, is to encourage people, to inspire them to get and own the best outcomes, because people are much happier when they do that. So what we decided here is that the PMPB program, Personal Professional Best program, it starts with a mindset. How do you, and have you experienced champions and championships, teams, how's their mindset different from other people's mindset?
Alabama has a language, and we teach it all the time. Neurons that fire together, wire together. You wire your brain. And what we've done for years is we'll come in, Coach and I will get the language, we'll speak it. It used to then we would ship it down to Scott Cochran. He would speak it with yeah, and all that. And what you do is you speak it, but neurons that fire together, wire together. You say something over and over. Every time you think, every time you speak, you're practicing brain chemistry. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So you have to speak a language. So here's mindset. Florence Chadwick was swimming from Catalina Island to California, just jumped in the water. No mindset. If I have a croquet set, these are things I do to have croquet. If I have a dinner set, here's the things I do and I have to have dinner. If I have a mindset, it's a collection of thoughts I repeat over and over. We talk about mindset, but we don't define it. It's a collection of thoughts I say to myself over and over and over to get me to where I want to go. So Florence Chadwick jumps in the water, Catalina Island, California, no mindset. Sharks, that weren't the problem. They scare them away with guns. 21-mile swim. Cold wasn't the problem. Fatigue wasn't the problem. Here was the problem. Fog. She couldn't see the boat. She didn't even see the boat in front of her. She swam, but after 15 hours, she let me come up in the boat. She came on the boat, the land was right there. She did a second time, and this time she got a mindset, and she talked to her. That's it. A mindset is how I talk to me, initially consciously, then it goes subconsciously. And she got in the water this time and said to herself over and over again, there's land on the other side of this fog. There's land on the other side of this fog. That was her mindset. Have you ever heard about this? I will walk by faith, not by sight. Come on. Oh, I'm about to get good in a minute. So what she did here is this time she had a mindset and she talked to her. You either talk to self or self talks to you. And this time she did 2 hours faster than any man ever did it. So what do you do at Alabama? We have a language. It becomes our mindset, and it's on the inside of our rings. And there's 4 or 5 things that we do, we speak, coach speaks over and over, and it becomes our mindset. It wires our brains. And that's what she did there. Mindset is the way I talk to me on purpose to get to the destination I would like to get to.
I love it. Hey, Kevin, I was just talking to my dad, who we call in our family the source. I'll tell you that story some other time, but on the way here, and I told him that we were going to have this exchange, and I told him, I said, Pops, when I was a little boy, I played sports. I never ever showed up at the park believing I wasn't going to have not only a chance to win, but I was going to win. And I didn't care who was on the other side. I was going with a mindset that I was coming to win the game. But prior to getting there, and he reminded me of this today, Patrick, I've never seen anybody work as hard as you to get prepared before to go to the game so that you'd be prepared to actually win in the game. So I think the mindset starts with we set the goal that we want, then we do the work. We do the work. We have to do the work to get prepared. And then our mindset should carry with it, which is I've done the work. I believe I deserve it. On the back of my dugout, Miami-Dade Community College, I'll never forget it. It was painted on the dugout. What the mind believes, the body achieves. And I used to look at that all the time, right before, when I was on the on-deck circle, right before I got in the batter's box, because we all face fears in life, but those that have a plan, know where they want to go, get prepared, do the work, they tend to get that winning mindset. And we're trying to do that here. I mean, we use Alabama, of course, because my money went to Alabama with not my betting, but with my son. But my attraction to Alabama today and to Clemson and to others, anytime I see excellence, when I see the best, I want to dig in because I want to know exactly what they're doing. And I find that the style's a little bit different, but the formula winds up being almost identical. What don't they do? Champions do a lot of stuff. What don't they do?
They don't shy away from ownership. And ownership is something's fascinating. Here's ownership. Every time I speak, I say, the best year of your life be the year you take ownership of every challenge in your life. They don't go away from it. And Charlie Wiedemeyer graduated Michigan State. He wanted to be a football coach. Got the job at Los Gatos High School in California. As soon as he got that job, he was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. He owned it. He was given a year to live. He owned it. And here's how he owned it. Every time he moved his head, every time he did, it was a word to his wife. 1 year to live, couldn't walk or talk. She coached a team. He'd have 32 years. He's the winningest coach in the history of California football. He didn't pout. He didn't go to a point where he was going to get offended. He didn't say, why me? He didn't go into any of that. He owned it. Vernon Turner's another one. Vernon Turner's mother was raped walking home from high school, and they shot heroin into her when they raped her, and she became pregnant with Vernon. Had Vernon, got married, had 2 more kids. Her husband died. Vernon walked in on her one day, and she was shooting heroin in the bathroom, made him watch. He watched. She passed away. He had 2 brothers and sisters younger. He owned it. He prayed and said, God, give me a vision. I don't want these kids to go into foster care. I want to be their dad. He said God gave him the vision of the NFL. He got up at 2 a.m., worked out, finished the workout at 6, put the kids off to school, went and played football, came back. What they don't do is shy away from ownership. They take it. When it comes their way, they say, this is what I have. What do I do with it? Respond with ability. That's the first thing that they do. They take ownership. And they have the other one is they stay away from self-pity. So what, now what? When something happens their way, they don't get into self-pity about it. They come together and say, somehow, somebody's asked me, how's Nick come back from some of the losses he's had? They were, the way that he lost the game to Auburn, or some of the ones he lost, we've come back. Don't get into self-pity. So what, now what? Keep on moving forward. And the third thing, you want me to tell you the epidemic we have today, Pat? In the last days, more people be offended than any other time. They work real hard to not get offended. They're not offended all the time. Ownership, no self-pity, and no offended. And you got to teach and reteach it. Because how do you come to Alabama with him walking around and not get offended? It's a choice.
Well, when you get around guys like that, there's the best and the rest, which is the best is whether you like it or not, you're going to the place you really want to go. It's just, that's what you've signed up for. The rest is that it's a struggle to have to fight against yourself to do what is best so that you can get to best. On the back of our wall here, once upon a time when people used to come in, and they will again, we have 2 sayings. One is complacency is the enemy of best. And the second one is complaining is the archenemy of best. And what I've told our folks is that what I've experienced with people that have become their best and are constantly then waking up the next day to get even better, they're never complacent, man. They never accept where they're at as the final place, even if it's the best, a championship ring. They're constantly pursuing the next best place because they know they can get there. The second thing is that when people are complacent, things don't go well in life. Then they don't own it. And they begin to complain because they're not getting what they want. So complacency and complaining in our organization are words that we use. We tell people those are against and opposed to what you want, personal and professional best. And we will not allow you to be complacent. And you may sometimes not even like me for it, but I don't really care. I want you to love me long term because we've challenged you, communicated to you, been intentional with you, planned with you how you can own what you really want to own, which is to be your best. You were talking a minute ago about adversity. Last year, not this year, but last year, I woke up one morning and we were attacked by ransomware. So what, now what? Right? I could go to a place where, we have no systems and we're not going to have them for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Well, our mission here in the organization, Kevin, is serving others before self. And so we always default right back to that. So we've made commitments to close and fund all of our customers on time. So what, now what? I called one of our operations managers, Chris Woody, and I said, get Eric Dolly in the room, one of our top closers. I knew Eric played a lot of video games when he was a kid. So I knew if anybody could jury-rig systems for us and we could find a way to get done, and basically told them in a different language, so what, now what? I said, we're closing all of these transactions today and tomorrow with or without systems. You go figure it out. The answer is figure it out, come back, tell me exactly how we're going to do it. This year, of course, COVID took place. And we basically shut the economy down in America and everyone had to go home. We had to, for the first time, most of our people for the first time had to go and work virtually. And then our business grew 60% this year, right? What a blessing. Not a burden, but it feels like a burden sometimes. You said earlier to own a blessing, but that took place this year. So we faced adversity, significant adversity last 2 years, and we did what champions do, which is we acted and reacted to adversity. How do champions deal with adversity? What are your experiences because every team is going to face it and every life is going to face adversity that they did not create on their own, that just showed up. How do the champions, how do they act and react to it?
I've really been blown away recently by the quarterback of the Washington now football team who broke his leg. And I'm going to go into more so when we talk later, but I love what he said. He just said, I'm going to come out and give everything I got to every day, as he was going through rehab and going through everything that he was going through. What they really do is they outline the day and they win the day. It's called nitty-gritty goals. What's important now? So when that all happened, when you listened to what you did, you said, okay, I'm not going to go 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. What do we need to do right now today? WIN. What's important now? And one of the most important things is called mindfulness. And how am I going to react today? So what? Now what? Similar to what you're talking about. A story that blew me away was Thomas Edison when his factory caught on fire. His kids came to him and said, Dad, the factory's on fire. He said, go get your mother. She'll never see a fire like this again. It was a $1 million factory worth $23 million today. She comes and he says, think of all the rubbish we're getting rid of. Think of all the rubbish we're getting rid of. And then the next day he tells the reporters, I'm not too old to start again. What he did is he brought that kind of energy, and here's what they say. I'm going to bring faith. I'm going to bring energy. Here comes the magic words. Match me. That's been our theme the whole year this year at Alabama. Match me. I'll bring intensity. I'll bring focus. Match me. It could be Robert. It could be Nicholas. Somebody stops up and says, match me. Do what I'm doing. Watch it and match me. They worked 3 weeks, double shift. They matched Thomas Edison. They were up and running in 3 weeks. That year, because he reacted like you did, he made $20 million, which equivalent to $230 million. So I've got a phrase, and my friend's Ron Rivera. He just called me right after he's got his cancer. He goes, I got an old friend. And he goes, my old friend taught me something. Everything happens for me. If you really believe Jeremiah 29:11, if you really going to say, I believe that, then we have to say when something happens, I don't know how, that happened for me. I got carried out of his house a couple years ago in an ambulance. I'm not getting back in an ambulance. Hear me now, believe it later. And no, I'm going to be so healthy that a crane couldn't get me out of here. I ran my sprints this morning. I'm a vegan. I meditate. I do everything they tell me to do at Cleveland Clinic. Didn't happen to me, Pat. Happened for me. Everything, that's the way I see it. That's if you're really going to believe that, it's awful what you went through. It's awful what the country went through, I guess. But somehow I believe we'll flourish. I believe we didn't go through that. We grew through that. And I say to me, no matter what happens, that happened for me. I don't know how. I'll figure it out later. Somehow I'll get comprehension, but that just happened for me. What do you mean? We just went through ransomware. Well, I don't know, but I'm going to learn something. We're going to be stronger afterwards. We're give us a chance to climb, like Caleb said, give me that mountain to climb. I guess we got our mountain. And that's what I see. It happened for me. Look, y'all need to know right now, if you sign on with anything I'm doing, I'm a radical. I'm going to tell you that before we go any further. It happened for me. That's the way I see it. And that's that's what Ron said to me. This cancer happened for me. All right, go ahead.
We always tell folks here that there's two types of adversity. The types that are the result of poor choices that we make, and then we wind up with consequences that create adversity in our lives. And the second type, which is the type we're talking about, things are just going to happen. And I always believe that those God things are the adversity, but I also think it's the birthplace of us getting better. We learn things about ourselves. We find different ways to wind up pursuing and getting better. And we then take those lessons with us up until the time that that next season of adversity shows back up, because it will. We all pray that nothing bad will ever happen in our life. No adversity will ever show up, but the truth of the matter is we ought to pray that we're strong enough to be in the environments that we need to be in, so that when adversity does show up, that we can figure out what about that adversity can actually be added into my playbook and make me that much better. And that's what we're trying to do here. Listen, one of the things we did, Kevin, we outlined all 6 people, all 6 areas of life. And what I've experienced, a lot of people today are having stress, anxiety, not because of COVID and everything else. Of course, those things add into it. But people are stressed because they're not doing as well in relationship. That's just true. They're not taking good care of their health and fitness. That's true. They don't save and spend smartly. That's true. How could you have fun if you're not good in relationship? You're out of shape and you have no money. Having fun is like financing a margarita on a Visa card, right? It can't be a lot of fun. And then there's this other area, which is, faith and community service. It's really hard to be faithful and to invest in the community when you're not really right yourself. And then finally, that person can't be that good in business. And again, I always tell the folks this, none of this is so I can get personally benefited. I get benefited by being a blessing, as you told me, in the life of another person, to encourage them. And we always tell people here, if you're that person and you're not where you want to be in life, the good news is it doesn't matter where you are. It matters where you decide to go. And that includes right now for me and for everyone that's in our audience. I've got things I need to work on to get to be the better version of Patrick Sean Flood, and every single one of you do. The hope is that you'll believe that if you decide today to input goals so that you can get to a better destination, be honest with yourself about where you are, input goals about where you want to go, get a plan, get somebody who's already there. Get somebody in your life that's already there, that's already kicking it and owning it, and have them help you understand how to build a plan to get from here to there. And then invite somebody in your life to do something that none of us really want, and that is to have somebody hold our butt accountable to make sure we get there. And by the way, those should be the leaders in our organization, the position coaches. My job is to be the head coach. The position coaches that are out there today, and by the way, you don't need a title to be a position coach. You just can be a role model for anybody else, and we want you to do that. All right. I'm fired up too, Kevin. I'm fired up. Last time me and you talked, we were both fired up. We're like, let's go do this. All right, so I want to ask you a final question. So let's say you were talking to your son or your daughter today. They were a young adult. This is somebody that you greatly, and I mean greatly, you're not getting paid to do this, that you just greatly care. They are that person that you want to leave a legacy of advice for, right? So what is the best advice that you would give them if they really wanted to build a championship season in 2021 at home, in the workplace, everywhere, with everyone? Talk to us.
I'll tell you the advice I give them every single day. God gave you a gift. Gave you a gift. And every one of us get a different gift. Martin Luther King said it best. Some of us are Fords, some of us are Cadillacs. You come to grip with being a Ford, you get in a park and place Cadillac never get into. And I teach them and talk to them every day and pray with them, and we talk about developing your gift. And they do. They work at it. And then I talk to them about take your gift, and I'm not looking for blessings to come into my life. I'm looking to go be a blessing in somebody's life. Go use it and make a difference every single day. And as you talked about, your 6 different, I looked over this kind of things that you're doing with your company, and you talked about the whole idea of faith. And look, big goals. I would give them best to talk. Big goals, B. E, go learn to encourage yourself and encourage others. S, take your gifts and serve. T, there will always be tests. If you're not tested, it's not that big. That's why there will always be an attack in our lives if we're trying to do something good. After you had your attack, you have two things with the test. You either have a testimony or you have a bad case of the monies. We all get a test. And so when you talked about playing baseball, everything comes to faith. Everything does. You said you got to work hard. You have to work hard to get genuine self-confidence is what I heard you say. Well, you know, when Moses was going through the Red Sea, and I'll just say this, God didn't bring you through the Red Sea to let you drown in a little fish pond. So you're going through the Red Sea, all the water parts. But Joshua was told that the water would part. And he got up to his knees and the water wasn't parting. He probably was looking up and saying, I thought the water parts. I think the message was, show me. Show me during this test, did you believe that you and I together, you in this relationship, we're going to part the water. Show me. I don't want to hear it. Show me. I need you to show me. And so what I teach my kids is your little best thing. God gave you a gift. Now go develop it. So I told my son how Jerry Seinfeld wrote 3 jokes every day. And now they say he could do the whole street with jokes. He practiced it. And so my son, he's on a scholarship to do film at DePaul. He practices every day. She's at UCLA. She does the same. Take your gift, develop it, go, live full, die empty, and find a way to go give that gift to serve others. And if you're doing good, the enemy's going to attack you. If y'all aren't getting attacked somewhere, you ain't doing nothing big. And then after you get your little ransom thing, and after you get your big ransom thing, y'all got either testimony or you got the monies. Come back with a testimony and tell me about it so you can go encourage others. Oh, y'all be cabbage patching a minute. You guys get me going like that. So what I teach them is develop your gift and go offer to the world. And what we do, we talk about faith. Faith is take your gift and go be a blessing. And everybody, all 172 of you, you have a gift. Now, if you think you have 3 or 4 or 5 gifts, you should get married. Somebody got to tell you you're overrated. Incidentally, this is just a public service announcement. The person you date is not the person you marry. You date their representative. That's just a public service announcement. But
I love it.
But that's what I teach them all the time, to go take your gift and go offer it every single day.
Wow, that was the best. Thank you, Kevin Elko, for joining our program and offering those incredible insights about how to build a championship season. I had so many takeaways from our time together. First, mindset. How do I talk to myself? What do I say to myself? Second, we all need to own our own stories. Third, there's no room for self-pity. Adversity is a part of all of our journeys. And when we encounter adversity, we need to adopt the mindset that Dr. Elko helped deploy at the University of Alabama. So what? Now what? Next, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Then, did you catch this nugget of wisdom? Adversity will either be your testimony or your money. That sounds a lot like one of my favorite sayings. Complacency is the enemy of best, and complaining is the arch enemy of best. How about this insight? If you want to be a champion, you need to win the day, this day, every day. Then Kevin shared a simple truth. God gave you a gift. You're either a Ford or a Cadillac. Embrace your gift, the Ford or the Cadillac, and work daily to develop it without envying others. And the last thought, match me. I love that. Match me. I'm adopting that as my statement for 2021. I'm committed to building a championship season. And my challenge to every Supreme Associate and to you, match me. We all have a choice to make. We can choose to build a championship season in 2021 at home and in the workplace with everyone everywhere, or not. We can choose to just get by. If we make the best choice, we all know what we need to do. I'm choosing to do it. I'm choosing to serve others, especially those who don't deserve it. I'm choosing to sacrifice for others, especially those who don't deserve it. I'm choosing to do what the all-time greats do. Match me. God bless all of you, and God bless America.